Africa has poor people, but Africa is not poor. All you have to do is have a dream. I want to come back.
Hello, everyone. This is Mustafa Hussein, and this is COMSTECH Podcast. From the village to the palace, and from science as an idea to science as a soft power. This has been an inspiring journey into the mind of our exceptional guest, Professor Dr. Ameenah Gurib.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Professor Ameenah. Your name itself is so evocative. Can you tell us about the community you were born into?
I'm a Muslim by faith, and I grew up in a very small village in Mauritius, a multicultural milieu, and I can say that my village was the microcosm of the world. So I grew up with all religions, and I myself went to a Catholic school, so there was no incongruity vis-a-vis my parent. To go to a Catholic school, but to be, of course, from my Muslim background. And we had many friends who were, of course, on the Hindu community, so we all lived together harmoniously. You know, I didn't realize to what extent I was strengthened until I went for university abroad. Then you realize that the mix of what different cultures has given me had made me a better person, I think.
What one value from those early days still guides you today?
I think the value that has stayed with me has been why we should be reinforcing our diversity. And I remain convinced that diversity is our strength. And throughout the world, we should be really valuing the diversity of our peoples because we all bring in our own little building block to making our society a better place to live in. But I think from very early on, I understood also the power of education. And my parents were very, very convinced already, and they ensured that they would give equal opportunity to the boy and to the girl. And I'm very happy he did, because it is through his vision that I'm sitting in front of you today.
What does infected with the science virus mean to you personally?
You know, I got infected with the virus of science at a very early age because I was a very curious child and I was always asking questions. But I think what kept me in the sciences was the role of the teacher. And they could answer my question in a very simple way. They were speaking to me, not above my head. And they were really demystifying the sciences. So that got me interested, and I saw that science had the power to transform societies, to transform lives. So I stayed on, and even now, I still have got this virus of science.
How can we infect our children today with the same passion for science?
You know, when people say to me, I don't like maths, I hate chemistry, I say to them, you had bad teachers. So teachers have a very important role to play. Unfortunately, in our societies, we tend to look down on them, we don't value them, we don't pay them well. We need to motivate them through good pay, through good condition, because they're nurturing our kids. And these will be the citizens of tomorrow. And also learn by doing. This is something for science you can't teach in classrooms. You really have to discover with your hands. And when you tell the child that when they're cooking food, they're doing science, that brings it to a completely new level.
As you've reached highest levels, how do you keep those roads present? How?
You know, when I was, my parents, we were communicating a lot. There was no internet at the time, so we were always talking in the family. And I remember one sentence both my parents said to me, make sure that your head is in the cloud, but your feet are very anchored on the ground. So you have to remain grounded. You have to know what you want. And you also want to know where you're going and what impact you want to leave behind. Because at the end of the day, as it is said also in Urdu, we are all musafir.
What does science for society mean to you personally?
You know, for the first time in the history of the United Nations, they recognize the power of science. And if you look at the SDGs, which have been approved and endorsed, of course, at the United Nations in September 2015, this is the first time that they recognize how transformational science can be to transform lives of people, because each one of them, their system, and they all need a solid base. They are all anchored solidly in the sciences. And be it water, be it food. And I think even at institutions here, what I've seen over the past 2 days, I think there is a recognition of why science matters so much and needs to be inculcated at a very young age to children.
Where does science have its most urgent role to play today?
Oh, there's so many. We all living with this Damocles sword in our head, which is climate change, the changing climate. And this is impacting all walks of life, be it access to water, the quality of food, quantity of food being produced in certain regions, energy needs as well. So all these require a very heavy dose of science. And we need to really impart this scientific attitude, mentality, the culture of science in our children, because they are there to hold the fort when we're gone.
Speaking of science's role, we can't ignore the role of women within it. What unique perspective do you feel women bring to scientific leadership?
Whenever we talk about the gender issue, I always go for gender complementarity. Men have a certain way of doing things, women do things differently. I'll just give you an example. When a man wants to go for promotion, even if he's 30% ready, he will go for promotion. A woman will make sure that she's 120% before she applies for promotion. So it's a culture difference. It's a gendered difference as well. So this is why, because we are complementary in our approaches, we need to bring both genders together. And we bring our, because we are the nurturers. We nurture the family, we nurture the kids. So we bring a different approach, but both of them together, we can create a better world through science. And that's why we need both genders at the helm in the scientific disciplines. But I must say, yesterday when I was in Lahore, I was very, very pleased to see the high percentage of women who were there, who are in the sciences. So things are happening slowly, I think happening surely.
What single charge do you believe would make the biggest difference for women in science, technology, for example?
I think the biggest gift we can give to any woman is to educate that girl child. Make sure that she has access to good education, quality education, that we address the structure, we address the stereotype, so that when she grows up, she knows there's a role model there, there's a mentor there she can look up to, and also the institution cares for her. And if we do that for our girl child, I think, and also we have to keep telling her, just like my father said to me, there is nothing that she can't do. So build up that self-confidence. Because when you build up that self-confidence, this is when you can really leapfrog ahead. Because you know that you have the belief that there is nothing that you can't do.
Your Excellency, what's your core message to the next generation of female scientists?
Well, I think what they have to do is, first of all, believe in themselves, believe in their own capacity, believe in their own potential. And, when you're a woman advancing in any area, there will be a tendency to bring you down. And if that girl, that woman, or that young girl has been brought down, she must make sure that her recovery is V-shaped. And she should never, ever give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, let's look at the broader picture now, to the continent and its immense potential. I mean, Africa and science as soft power. You see, how can science practically amplify Africa's voice on the global stage?
Unfortunately, we started at a big deficit. Africa's biggest asset is her youth. And as we speak, Africa is 17% of the world population. But unfortunately, she only produces about 0.01% of patents. And she produces about $3 to $4 trillion in terms of GDP. Just to juxtapose this with one company, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's market capitalization is 5 trillion, right? And Africa's entire GDP, 54 countries, is 3.4 to 4 trillion. So there is an issue there. Africa has poor people, but Africa is not poor. Africa is a very rich continent. And fortunately or unfortunately, Africa has driven the first, second, third, and fourth industrial revolution. And if there's a fifth one, it's going to drive it by sheer fact that she has the resources, and now she'll have the manpower to do it as well. So what we have to do, and I say this all the time when I go to the African continent, again, we need to empower our people. And I go in with this mantra The future of Africa is in the mind and not in the minds of Africa. So we need to educate them. As I say again, at Mandela has said, education is the most powerful tool with which you can change the world. It's true, all the time. When I look at my own journey from where I came from, that's a very tiny village, and today I'm speaking to you right here. So you can see the transformation that it brings to society. So it's a real mover. So we need to really reinforce the education of our young people.
What is the most critical pillar for building a self-sustaining scientific ecosystem in Africa?
Investment.
How?
Yeah, invest in our institutions, invest in our people, invest in the ecosystem, so that young graduate or that young African has an idea. He or she doesn't have to have a degree. He or she doesn't have to have a university education. He or she needs to have an idea that they can develop, and they can go to that ecosystem where they'll be given the means to develop the idea. Because sometimes, if you see most of the major development in this world, they have happened with university dropouts. So you don't need a degree to show your intelligence. You are intelligent, but you need to have the ecosystem where you can go out there and showcase what you can do, especially if it has impact to society.
Okay. Professor Ameenah, as a leader, how do you navigate the gray areas between ambition and principle?
When I came into office, I realized very, very quickly that to navigate this, especially as a woman as well, it's like walking on eggs without breaking them. So you really have to, there is also in science, we tend to see things in black and white. An experiment works or it doesn't work. But in leadership, it's all gray. But there is something that you should not compromise on. What you believe in, your ethical principle. And those figures who have remained as beacons of hope precisely are those who have had ethical leadership. Who do we look up to in Africa? We look up to the likes of Nelson Mandela. We look at Egypt, for example. What did Egypt bring? I think Egypt brought hope to his people and pride, right? So these are the qualities that we have the responsibility of as leaders to inculcate in the young people. This notion of pride to be who you are, the notion of the ethics you bring in, and also the hope that we can bring as well. Because there's nothing worse than a child growing up anywhere in Africa or anywhere in Asia, in Pakistan, for example, where there is no hope. Hope is the tool that we can help to build the future. So we have to instill hope. We have to we have to guide them through some form of ethical leadership, and really reassert the value system that our societies bring, and which have helped us. So I don't see why it can't be of use to the younger people.
What ethical question in science and leadership keeps you up at night?
In science right now, I think AGI. AI, with all the downside, it has upside. AI can compete with your accountant. AI can compete with even radiologists, for example. But AI cannot compete with the cook. For the time being, AI cannot compete with the qualities that human have, which is empathy. And they can't compete with your plumber, for example, right? So these are, that's why we really have to rethink our strategy for human capital development within the realm of AI. But what worries me is AGI. And this is where, if we are not careful, we can create a lot of chaos in society. The other thing is, what worries me as well is the cycle of water, where we see floods in some places and drought for years on, and the damage that this has done is continue to do in the short to medium term as well.
Okay.
Because water is life.
How do you protect the long-term vision from the immediate pressures of the day?
All you have to do is have a dream. And as has been said to me in the past, you must be frightened by the sheer size of your dream. But at the same time, if you don't have objectives and goals, that dream can just become a nightmare as well. So set up your goals and always stay focused on what you want to do. And there will be distraction, there'll be detractors as well. but remain focused. This is true for the sciences. This is true for anything that you want to do. Remain focused to what you believe in, to what you think is right, not just for you, and also benign to your surrounding.
What's your core message to the young scientists in Africa?
Young scientists in Africa, there's many, right? And Africa, contrary to what people may think, it already is a leader in so many sectors. For example, mobile money, energy, for example, they're doing great things. I think what they have to do is just feel free to create and generate your own ideas and work towards to making impact to society and transform your society through the lens of science. It can be done. It's happening. But may not be very visible because media is not very kind to us. And one of the reasons media is not very kind to us because we don't have a media in Africa. True to ourselves.
How we can build this media in Africa?
We have to invest in our own media so that we tell our own stories. No one will tell it for us.
Okay. What about your visit to Pakistan?
I want to come back. No, I've really enjoyed my stay, and I was overwhelmed with the welcome of the people, the friendliness and the warmth. I have been amazed at I'm coming back after almost 9 years, and have really seen much progress, be it in infrastructure, be it, of course, in the education system as well. And I have friends, as you know, in Karachi with the team of Prof. Iqbal. And through them, I also see the immense impact that Pakistan is making, especially on the education landscape. So I would like to come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madame la Présidente. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Merci. À très bientôt. J'espère en Mauritanie une séjour.
Okay. Thank you very much.